It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood.
Welcome to Boone and Crockett's Heritage of the Hunt.
Hey, it's Jodi Stemler. We've got the Boone and Crockett Club's Heritage of the Hunt, and we are honored to have our current, the 37th president of the Boone and Crockett Club, Tony Caligiuri. Tony, how are you today?
I'm great, Jodi. How are you?
I'm doing really good. And you and I have known each other for 25 years?
Yeah, at least.
At least, yeah. So back when I worked with the Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation and you were on my board there. And
I was there when we hired you.
That's right. And you have been involved in this industry for over 30 years. You were the president of Boyd Harness Company and Bob Allen.
Yeah, correct.
And you have been very influential and involved in the conservation community your entire career. But you started as an outdoor writer.
Yeah, well, I went to journalism school and got out. And back then, the schools were much more broader focused. There wasn't, where the small college I went to didn't have a broadcast journalism or a print. It was all blended. And so we learned everything. And so I learned about cameras and TV production. And when I got out of school, I couldn't really find a job that I wanted. And I answered an ad for someone that knew how to write and operate video and still camera equipment. And it turned out it was a blind ad, but it was for the 5th Judicial District of Iowa. They had gotten a grant to buy all this video and camera equipment, but they didn't know how to use it, and they were getting audited on the grant. So, so I ended up there, and it was wonderful. Being associated with the judicial and court system, the law enforcement system, and did a lot of stuff. In the 3 years I was there, we had we put all the equipment into use and had video testimony certified, the second county or judicial system in the country that could use video testimony in a court. Of course, that was all the beginning of the breathalyzers and body cameras and things like that. So I did a lot in the initial implementation of those type of programs, and it was really fun. But but it also gave me a lot of time to write. And so I started writing for a lot of the outdoor publications and sold my first couple articles to Film Stream back then.
Interesting. Did you want to start in the outdoor world?
Oh, I wanted to be an outdoor writer since I was a kid, but there just
was not that easy.
Yeah, it's not. Nobody was hiring anyone, so that's why I took that job and with the county and judicial system, and it was great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, for sure.
But one of the so I'd written an article for one of the bass specialty magazines, and it was how to operate. It was about basically how to fish at that time for schooling fish using paper graphs.
Okay.
And there were no LEDs or screened sonar at that point. And lo and behold, the director of public relations for Lowrance Electronics read it. And he called me and said, "How'd you like to come to work for Lowrance?" And I said, "Doing what?" And he said, "Well, as public relations manager." And I said, "Well, that'd be a dream come true." So my early 20s, I moved to Tulsa and started for Lowrance, then went to Skeeter Boats and the Coleman Outdoor Group, and was vice president of marketing for all the outdoor groups. We were kind of big in the hunting industry at that time, and so then I get a call one day that, "Would you be interested in moving back home to Iowa?" And Coleman was going through some rough times at that point. There was going to be they'd been bought out in a hostile takeover, and the person that bought them was breaking up the company, and so it was a good opportunity to leave. So I had a young family at that time, and
I was home.
I was home, and my wife was a Texas girl, but she was open to moving, and so we went and moved, and then I didn't really research it that well, and found out that the parent company of Boyd at the time was kind of in dire straits.
Was that the company you moved back to Iowa?
Yeah, I moved back to work for Boyd.
Okay.
Yeah, which was an Iowa institution. Boyd Gun Case has been around forever. Probably telling you more than you want to know about that.
No, I didn't realize this.
Yeah, so I went back, and the bank came in to run it.
Oh, no.
But not the sporting goods division. It was very small, and I was running that and growing it. And the representative of the bank came and said, "Look, this deal's going into bankruptcy. You need to find somebody to buy the sporting goods division." I said, "Well, I don't have anybody in mind. I don't have any money." And they said, "Well, the bank works with buyout specialists. We got a couple of guys I know, they hunt. Maybe they'd be interested." So now we're talking 35 years ago.
Okay.
And the guys they brought in they're wonderful. And we did it over a card table, and they said, "Well, you're going to be a partner." And so I don't have any money to be a partner. And they said, "Oh, don't worry about that. Sign here.
I'm a PR guy.
Sign here." And so that's been a 35-year relationship, and just wonderful with my two partners. And they're, they're getting a little older now, and they've never really been involved with the company. They've let me do everything just like I wanted. And over the years, we've made several acquisitions. So now I think we have, gosh, I can't keep track, 6 or 7 brands in the outdoor industry with Goki boots, the oldest boot manufacturer in the United States, the originator of hunting boots.
Okay. Well, and we mentioned it, but Boyd has been around for 100 years.
1901.
So over 100 years as well. So in some ways, legacy, just like the Boone and Crockett Club.
Oh, yeah.
And you've got Goki, that is a very heritage brand.
And Bob Allen Sportswear, 1946.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's one of the cool parts about our industry is some of these historic brands. And it's amazing to be a steward of that and move forward. And you've done an amazing job in the growth of putting together some of these companies, but just continuing to build a brand and a following.
Yeah, I don't know if amazing's the word. Sometimes I think we've gone backward with them, but there's strength in numbers, and having the brands together it really helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm an uplander. Mud River is one of the ones that you work with as well. You guys, just a broad range of products.
Yeah, dog stuff, and that's a whole nother story how we got Mud River, which we won't go into, but it was quite serendipitous. But dogs, and I'm like you. I mean, I love to upland hunt, and I don't know what I'd be without my dogs, but it's fun being in having a dog specialty company and doing some of the things that we're doing. And
I bet. Now, and we got to pull a little pop culture into the podcast here. You and I talked, I don't know, 6 months ago about this really cool deal with Goki boots and Field and Stream.
Field and Stream,
These new icon, with their ownership with Eric Church and
Morgan Wallen. And so as everyone knows, Field and Stream, one of the oldest brands in the outdoor industry. And over the years, print subsided lightly.
And before we do that, we have to connect the dots between Forest and Stream, George Burgernell, the club, and then that legacy of what Field and Stream has become and is iconic in so many people's history of getting involved in the outdoors and leading their.
They remember reading it under the covers with a flashlight.
Absolutely, and had tremendous reach still, but challenges in print industry. And as we know, they went from a print publication to a digital only, and then even that, and we know a lot of the same people that were at that brand.
Sure, and bigger than that is the segments got broke up. So TV got owned by one person, product and licensing got owned by another, and it just it was fragmented to the point where the brand was having less and less meaning.
Yes.
But along comes Eric Church and Morgan Wallen, who are both avid outdoorsmen, and they wanted to revive the brand and make it what it was when they were kids.
Yeah.
And they're young enough, they caught it on the tail end, but they still caught it.
Yeah.
And so they obviously had the resources to do it, so they just partnered up, and they started buying the licensing rights and the TV rights and
them all back together,
print rights, and they brought it all back together under one roof.
Yeah.
So they came to us, and obviously we're a small company. They could have went anywhere they wanted, but they said, we want, and Field and Stream boots had been pretty popular 20 years ago. So they said, we want to bring back Field and Stream boots, and we want to partner with someone that's got the same legacy as Field and Stream, and Goki's a perfect marriage. So we brought out the Field and Stream line of Goki boots, and
that's only been out for a little while, right?
Yeah, about since SHOT Show, so about 6 months.
Yeah,
and they're doing really well, and Field and Stream is going to be doing most of the outdoor content for Amazon. Amazon is trying to tie in their outdoor content with music and product and things like that. So I think they're really close to launching the Field and Stream Amazon page, which will have podcasts from Eric Church and Morgan Wallen about hunting and fishing. And then you'll be able to go down and purchase some of the Field and Stream brands and products. And I believe we were the first licensee, so it's still all in its relative infancy, but I think it's going to be a really neat deal.
That's really neat. And I will admit to a little geeky loving of Eric Church and Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
And Morgan's new album has a song that I adore called Skoal, Chevy, and Browning.
Yeah.
Talking about icon brands. And you know what? I texted our good friend CJ Buck, and I said, do you realize he talked about a buck knife? And so yeah, it's a great, if you haven't heard that song, it is phenomenal because it is about hunting with his uncle and learning about life through that experience on it. So a phenomenal song, and it obviously connects with so many of our legacy brands and our partners with Buck and Browning and others. So they are committed to our industry and our people and the lifestyle that the club, that our industry.
They really are. They're hardcore hunting and fishing guys. And they're doing the Field and Stream Music Festival in South Carolina this September. And we'll be involved with that. Lainey Wilson and Eric.
I think well, it was supposed to be Lainey last year, and because of the hurricane that hit North Carolina, they had to cancel it. So I can't remember the headliners, but it's different. But it is still an amazing lineup. It looked like I've gone on the webpage and I thought about going to it because it looked like
that'll be
an incredible opportunity.
And we'll pray for better weather this time.
For sure. Obviously, that was devastating to the Carolinas last year. So, okay, so you and I deal with each other a lot at SHOT Show, and you have been a supporter in the conservation community for a long time, the club being part of that. Why is it important for you, your brand, to be connected with the conservation community?
Well, I think it's important not only for the brand, but for the ownership of the company. All of us strongly believe in conservation and protecting the future for our kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, and all the generations that come. We've watched things happen in other countries that we don't want to happen in the United States. The North American model is built on, a hunter-based hope that hunters will preserve wildlife and habitat, and it's up to us. Governments aren't going to do it. Private corporations aren't going to do it. It's the hunter that does that. So anything we can do to help the spirit of us, of that, is important. And for me, I mean, it started with way back working with Darrell Lawrence. He was one of the pioneers of fisheries conservation, and he kept us all involved in that. And then, when I moved to Texas, got a little more involved with Gulf Coast Conservation Association and Texas Black Bass Association, all of those coastal and inner water fisheries that were coming up at the time. So it was just natural, and I love to hunt and fish both. Hunting's probably got the edge, but when I transitioned from the fishing industry into the hunting industry, to get involved, and it pretty much all started with Congressional Sportsmen's Foundation. And it's funny how the way things work, but we we were doing some things with Suburban and making an aftermarket gift with purchase luggage kit.
Okay.
And Steve Ramsey.
That's our mutual friend.
Exactly. So he was the executive in charge of Suburban.
Following him on Facebook. It's good to see him.
It is. Yeah, the mayor, the mayor.
That's right.
And so the mayor of Caledonia. So he called and said, well, look, he said, I'm involved with this conservation organization, fledgling. I mean, it was just starting.
Yes.
We had to pass the hat to make payroll.
We were only at less than 10 years in, and you're right. It was kind of not tipping on the edge, because it was an important.
Yeah, but we weren't. They were
financially not so strong.
No, and so he asked me if I would be on their board, just to maybe have someone with a little business acumen, for the financial side. And oh my gosh, what a powerhouse Congressional Sportsman Foundation has become.
It's amazing to.
And we got to hire you and Jeff and
Yep.
several other people that, and then we started the state caucus program. We bought the building on the Hill, which has been tremendously good for a conduit for staff, makes it convenient
Yep.
for a Hill staff to come in there and talk. And it is just.
It's neat to see that grow.
Oh, man.
And CSF is such a partner with the Boone
and Crockett Club.
With them extensively. Many of them are professional members. It's really neat to see that synergy continue over that 20+ years.
How can you have an organization more important to educate members of Congress and Senate and their staffers on what's best for hunting and shooting legislatively in the United States? And they can take credit for a lot of positive moves that have happened in votes there.
Absolutely. So you've been a member of the club for how long?
Well, I was an associate when I was in high school. I've still got my tape measure from 50-some years ago.
Or official measure?
No, I've never been a measure. My son is an official measure, but I've never been one. Never could find the time to get to a workshop.
5-day workshop.
Yeah. But yeah, I grew up. I mean, you live in Iowa. We're the guys from Illinois and Wisconsin will argue with me a little bit, but where we live is it's the nucleus of giant whitetails. And so Boone and Crockett is literally a household word. I mean, high school kids know what Boone and Crockett is when they might not know who the president is.
That's funny.
Every kid in Iowa aspires to shoot a Boone and Crockett deer someday.
Yeah.
So always knew what Boone and Crockett was. And but I grew up reading Jack O'Connor too, and loved Jack O'Connor. And I was at a show, which back then I was probably doing 15 shows a year with Boyd, and the Jack O'Connor Center had just started, and they had a booth there. So I walked up and I was talking to him about Jack O'Connor and stuff, and there was this big tall cowboy with a big hat on, and he says, well, you know a little bit about Jack O'Connor. And I said, well, yeah, I'm kind of a Jack O'Connor fan. And he says, oh, and so we got talking. He said, well, would your company consider getting involved with this new Jack O'Connor Center that we're building? And I said, well, maybe so. And we talked some more, and he got me to an organizational meeting. Well, that gentleman's name was Buck Buckner, who's kind of a legend with Boone and Crockett.
More than just kind of.
Yeah, is a legend with Boone and Crockett, and our long time vice president of big game rights.
Yes.
So Buck said, well, would you ever be interested in being a member of Boone and Crockett? And I said, well, yeah, I think so. And so that's how it started 15 years ago, was with Buck. And none of this I ever sought out. It all kind of happened by accident. I would just go to meetings as a regular member, and they'd say, well, we need a little help in marketing. What can you come up with? Design the Trailblazers program.
Yeah, I was going to circle on that real quick, because you are a trailblazer in conservation. You originate that program. Just as a short aside, what would you tell some other brands about why it's important to come along and be supportive of the Boone and Crockett Club?
Well, I think a couple of things. One, we're the gold standard. So if those companies are promoting fair chase and ethics, you're not going to find a better organization that promotes that. The other side of it is the association partnerships that we have with everyone in the hunting industry, whether it's, our strong relationship with Wild Sheep Foundation, as we mentioned, Congressional Sportsman's Foundation, Wildlife Management Institute, Western Governors, all of these things that we have great relationships with, that bounces out from their Trailblazer sponsorship. Also Fair Chase, one of the, conservation hunting focused magazines out there, and our followers on social media. and our resources on the electronic
are in the field.
media side, in the field.
Tremendous distribution on that.
Eyeballs. And lots of eyeballs. And
we've been working really hard on this.
Yeah.
We're getting there. There's a lot of work.
So I think we've come along in the last couple of years, especially since you've been there, to get us in a communications phase that we've never had before. So we offer a lot to trailblazers. But the number one thing I would say is your involvement in Boone and Crockett. You can't put a money value on preserving ethical and fair chase hunting.
Yeah, no, and we depend on our corporate partners, obviously, for a lot of our mission-based programming and the work that we're doing, and it helps direct where we go. But more than anything, aligning with like-minded brands like Boyd, like Buck, like Loophole, and we have a number of these wonderful companies, but we can help tell their story to our members, but they can help us tell our story. And when we can amplify our messaging across, it really makes a huge difference.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, it's that centrifugal effect of getting everybody involved.
Yeah. So you became the 37th president of the Boone and Crockett Club in December of 2024, and you started your term almost immediately. So this year is your first.
Yeah. Talk
a little bit about what you envision and what you want to see for your term as president, and how you're working with the club moving forward.
You bet. The record book is, the club's, it's a stool with 4 legs, and the record book being one of those. So one of my goals is to bring relevancy from the scientific and research community to the record book. Lots of ways that we can do that once we get, we're in the middle of a big overhaul of our database now, but there's literally thousands and thousands of records going back.
Over 60,000.
Over 60,000 that
makes it hard to manage that database.
Yep. But no one in North America has that database. So we can not only tell, what this animal was, we know what it was score-wise. We know what it was, where it was killed, when it was killed. We can develop models, especially with AI now, that predict habitat changes and variances and how it will affect animals. And so one of the coolest things that I'm pushing, there's 3 or 4 papers in the medical community now, and one of them is called the advantage relativity theory, that has to do with symmetry. So they study invertebrates, and as you know, the Boone and Crockett scoring system puts a huge amount of emphasis on symmetry, and other organizations don't necessarily. And so how does symmetry relate to the scientific community and our research? Well, they've proven that with vertebrates, the more symmetrical an animal is, the more resistant it is to disease, to parasites, the more genetically it's advantage to just grow healthier herds. And this is all coming out in the medical community. I think we've got a wonderful opportunity to be involved from that side.
Absolutely.
So scientific relevancy to our database and records.
Right.
That's my number one.
And our records book, as we've talked about a number of times on this podcast, and we've written about on our website, is so directly tied to being able to track the success of conservation or challenges that we're still facing. So having an animal measured and put into that database, whether it actually makes the record book or not, is really important.
Exactly.
To be able to understand.
We don't want people to do it for ego. We're not honoring the hunter. It's about the animal. So whether it they'll ever enter it or not, we'd love to have that.
And as we've talked about before, if it's picked up, or it was road killed, it's still important to that record.
Yeah, we have world record. I mean, 2 of our desert sheep and a Rocky Mountain bighorn were both pickups.
And our grizzly bear.
And our grizzly bear are not hunter-killed trophies.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting. Any other priorities that you'll?
Yeah. So it's the North American model of conservation. So often we get wrapped up in just the United States, and Mexico and Canada are just every bit as important to our club as the U.S. is. So that North American model, to emphasize that. Mexico's has some challenges with hunting right now from a governmental standpoint. Canada, the BC grizzly situation. So there's actually stronger anti-hunting movements in the two adjoining countries that make up North America than the United States, and we see it every day. So it gives you a little bit idea what they're dealing with. So I really want to get to put more emphasis on Canada and Mexico and what we can do to help them with their challenges from not only a conservation standpoint but a hunter advocacy standpoint. Because as we've proven over and over and over, without the hunters, you're not going to have conservation and you're not going to have wildlife.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So those are the two big things.
So we talked about why corporate partners, but the average hunter, being a grassroots supporter of the Boone and Crockett Club, being an associate member is a really neat opportunity to get our publications, to read our information and get our newsletters, but it also allows you to be part of and support the mission that we do. This is something that we're all working on and trying to help spread the word, to say you can be part of the club. You are part of the club through the history of where we've come from, but you can help us achieve our mission.
No, exactly. And, you know, when you're young and you're starting out in your hunting career, there's, they say there's 4 phases, but conservation is never part of that first phase. You want to kill something, and you want to kill something big. And the idea with associates is to bring them from that just hunting stage on up to a full conservation-oriented individual. Yes. And sometimes that takes 1 or 2 years. So what do we have? We have that database again. And Fair Chase, when they become an associate, they get Fair Chase, they get, access to the website and Big Game Records Live, the digital side. And so if they're a do-it-yourself hunter, I mean, it's not only important for us to have you on the conservation team side, but it's important for you. You're going to have access to research that no one else has on where you should maybe be applying for tags or starting out hunting or looking for something. And then I still love the part of Fair Chase that has the it has a menagerie of entries from one issue to the other. And you get to see pictures of people with their big game animals and really see kind of trends. But the greatest part about it, as we saw last night at the Jack Parker Next Generation Youth Banquet, is the kids.
Yeah.
And so that next gen section in Fair Chase, where you actually get to see big game animals that are younger hunters have harvested. If you're having a bad day, look at that section. You're not going to have a bad day anymore. It is inspiring and just plain awesome. And to see some of those kids walk across that stage last night, they couldn't even. And one thing that I sure noticed in that last night, I'd say 90% of those entries, and we're talking huge, 190-inch typical whitetails. I mean, 22-inch black bears. I mean, we saw giant animals in that. The best representation of big game conservation produced animals that we've you ever get to see. But what did you see there last night in all those kids? They were mostly guided by their parents, grandparents, or uncles.
Yeah.
It's not like they're going out and buying these kids a $20,000 hunt and saying go. Most of those kids were all guided by family members, which is it's really a great feeling for me, because that tells me that this is becoming as generational as it was when I was growing up 60 years ago, and my dad was literally putting me on his back and carrying me on pheasant and rabbit hunts. So I'm so glad to see that still there. And I sure did that with my son, and he's, we've created a monster there, because I'm not sure anyone hunts more than he has. I believe he's got, he doesn't enter them all, but I think he's got 10 self-guided animals that make Boone and Crockett all-time records. But and I can guarantee you his daughter and son are gonna be right in there when they're old enough too. So so we've got a future.
Yeah.
I mean, Boone and Crockett's got a future. Hunting's got a future. It's a tradition that we need to fight for. We need to live it.
Yeah.
And it's It's not about killing giant animals at Boone and Crockett. It's about ensuring the fact that we've got wildlife and habitat for years and years to come.
Absolutely. Is there anything we didn't touch on? Is there any closing thoughts? That was a pretty good one, so maybe we don't need any.
Yeah, no, I think that's great.
Great. Yeah. Tony, thank you so much. Congratulations on being a president of the club.
Thank you.
Look forward to the future. And
just got to make it through my first year.
You will. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's exhausting. I know. I don't think anybody realizes the amount of volunteer time you all put in.
It is.
And that is.
And it is.
That commitment is amazing. And
it's a lot of time.
Until next time, this is Jodi Stemler with the Heritage of the Hunt.
Thank you.
Thank you.